Okay, we will get introduced to Spring Web Dependency. So what is this Spring Web Dependency? If you add this dependency, you are going to get the embedded Tomcat server. So you get the Tomcat server, guys. So not only Tomcat server, you will get the additional benefits to do with your Spring Boot project. So there are, some kind of like good libraries that will be provided by the Spring Boot when you add Spring Web Dependency. So one of the libraries are, okay, you can open the Tomcat server. When the Tomcat server will be opened automatically. Second one is you will get a library called the Jackson library. So you do not have to worry about this jargons for now. Okay, these keywords for now, and you will also get introduced to Spring MVC control. Okay, and also you will get introduced to the logging controls. So just by adding the Spring Web Dependency, you will get the by default the Tomcat server will get activated. Along with that, you have some Jackson library, Spring MVC control, and you have the logging library. So you will understand this one by one. Okay. So indirectly, what we can also say that just by adding Spring Web Dependency, it is like you are converting the console based app. Console based app is getting converted to what? It is getting converted to the web publication. So till now, till even in the extra days class, we are just dealing with the console based application, right? So whatever the output that we are expecting, the outputs are expecting the console level, right? So what I want to see the output, okay, I want to see the output in the browser level. If I want to see the output in the browser level, or if I want to communicate to my application through the browser, able to follow. You want to communicate to my Spring Boot application by using the browser. Okay, I have to add what? I have to add that one dependency, which is what? This Spring Web Dependency. How to add this dependency? It is going to be very easy, very simple. File, new. Okay, choose Spring Starter project. So these things are I don't want to give much explanation. So let me name the project as Spring Control. The REST control. Okay, the type is Maven, version 17. Everything will remain same. Okay, first, let me say first web application. Okay, click on next. So here you have to add the dependency that I'm talking about now. What is a dependency? Spring Web Dependency. So when you add this dependency, you will get the embedded Tomcat server. Okay, and you will get the Jackson library. You will get the logging library. You will get the Spring MVC pattern. Okay, let me click on next. Let me click on finish. Okay, the project is being built in behind the scenes. You have to wait until it is getting built. 26% is done. Okay, the project is created. Spring REST control. So by now we know that the Spring Boot will create the main method. Okay, it will create the main class and it will also create the main method. So inside that main method, it will have a logic to start the container. We have seen those things in action yesterday. Okay, today, because of the dependency that we have just added now, because of the Spring Web Dependency that we have added just now, let me open this. Let me run this. See, the project structure is going to be same. Okay, the project, everything is going to be same, but this time our project is what? Our project is the web-based project. Why it is a web-based project? We have added the dependency, Spring Web Dependency. So behind the scenes, okay, if you just trace out the control flow of the main method, so everything remains same. Okay, the JVM will be started. Okay, you know the JVM is going to get started, right? JVM will create the main thread. Okay, this main thread gets access to the main method. Okay, so inside this main method, okay, this line is going to create what? This line is going to create the container inside the JVM. This is the JVM. Inside the JVM, there will be a container. Okay, let us place the container on top of the JVM. So we know that, right? Actually, we have seen container is responsible to, the store the beans. Store the beans. Beans are nothing but objects. Okay, they usually register the beans. It is used to register the beans. Let us say that it is an IOC container. IOC container. Okay, after this, since you have added the web dependency, Spring web dependency, it is going to, by default, it is going to start the Tomcat server somewhere in the JVM. Okay, and this is called as what? This is called as the Tomcat server. Okay, Tomcat server will be activated. Focus here. Tomcat server. Okay, what operating system is going to do, since the server is started, okay, by default this server is going to listen to a port, which is the port number is 8080. The port number is 8080 always by default. Port number is what? Port number is a logical entity. We know this, we have seen this in the first class. It's a port number. Okay, by default our Tomcat server is going to listen to this port number. Okay, these many things are going to happen behind the scenes because you have just added the Spring Web application. Able to follow or able to follow till now? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now see the interesting part. Let me run this. Okay, let me run this. So let me add a statement here, system.out.println. Let me say, okay, main method ended. Okay, I'm just running the code. Okay, I'm just running the code as a Spring Boot application. I have just started hitting on the run button. You see the code is running. You see the code is running, and you get to see something in the console. In the console level, you get to see the Spring Boot tag and main method ended. But the process is still running. What is the proof that the process is still running? Are you able to see the terminate button, highlighted terminate button here? Hello?
Yes, sir.
It means the process is still running. Why the process still running means the job of the main thread. Okay, main thread has completed executing all the instructions inside the main method. So what did I just say? This line, this particular line is going to create a Tomcat server, right? The Tomcat server is going to get started. To start this Tomcat server, JVM will create another thread. Okay, JVM will create another thread to make sure that the Tomcat server is running. JVM will create a thread to make sure that the Tomcat server is kept running. This thread is what? This thread is the non-daemon thread. Are you able to recollect what is non-daemon thread? We have seen this in the multi-thread.
It will run after.
Even it will run even though the main thread has completed or the main thread is destroyed. Okay, this non-daemon thread will run. What is happening behind the scenes? Okay, this line. Focus. Let us come on this line. Okay, this line is creating the container. So we know what is a container, IOC container. Okay, it is going to register all the beans. After this, since the application is what? Since application is the Spring, it's a web application because you have added the Spring Web dependency. It is also going to, run the Tomcat server. By default, the Tomcat server will be run on the port number 8080. Not on the port number 8080. Tomcat server will get started, and the server will listen to the port number 8080 by default. Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this server will be started. Okay, a non-daemon thread will be created because since it is a non-daemon thread, this server will kept activated always unless you stop it forcefully. Okay, the main thread has destroyed. Main thread has completed executing its all instructions inside the main method, and it has done its job. It has destroyed the JVM. I'm sorry, this is the main thread. Okay, the JVM will be waiting for to shut down. But the problem is the JVM cannot shut down until the non-daemon thread is destroyed. Are you able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now our duty is to do what? Our duty is to we have to do something. What is that something? We have to open the browser we have to start. We have to type some URL, HTTP, any request we have to send. We have to send a request in such a way. We have to send a HTTP request in such a way that, okay, the browser is going to pick a ephemeral port number. What is an ephemeral port number? You remember, right? A random port number. You remember this? This ephemeral port number will be picked up by the operating system. Any port number, any random port number. It could be any number. Okay, it could be any number, something like this. Okay, operating system is going to pick a port number for all the the URLs that you're going to type. Okay, this port number has to get connected to this port number so that TCP connection gets created. Then the HTTP request and the HTTP response, I mean the communication happens between the browser and our Tomcat server. We have to do this. Shall we start that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now the next step is the first step. So adding the dependency is going to do so many things, and if you see the what we call it as the server, the server is still running. So I'm just stopping it forcefully. I'm stopping it forcefully. Now see, now what I'm doing is I'm right clicking here. I'm clicking on new, and I am clicking on class. I'm taking another class, okay, and let me name this class as controller. So this is the control class. Now I am adding one popular annotation. We call this annotation as the stereotype annotation. Okay. For now, just remember the name of this annotation, REST controller. Okay. What is the use of this annotation is, this annotation is used to do what? It is used to listen to the Tomcat server. I mean, the request that is coming to the Tomcat server will be transferred to the class which has what? Which has REST controller annotation. For example, let me take one more method here. Public return type is string, welcome. Name of the method is welcome. I'm just returning my first web application. My first web application. I will help you with the control flow. And on top of this method, I'm using something like get mapping. Okay. And also, I would like to create my own endpoint. So endpoint would something like slash welcome. Okay, let me rerun this code and show you the output. What is happening behind the scenes? We will understand the control flow. Now let's see what is happening. Okay, so I have just restarted the application. So it is not an ordinary application. This is the web application because you have added the web dependency. Okay, you are able to see the server is running because the red button is highlighted still, and I'm opening the browser. I'm opening the browser. I'm using some URL. Okay, URL will be like http localhost. Okay, so this is the generic URL for the Spring Boot, the generic URL, and I am giving the endpoint as welcome. I'm hitting the run button. Are you able to see something in the browser? My first web application. Okay.
Yes, sir.
We will understand the control flow. We will understand the control flow very clearly. The idea here is why we are getting this option now. We are able to communicate with our Java application, with the Spring Boot application from the browser. So we are able to achieve this only because of the web dependency. So what are the things that is being done by the web dependency that we are going to understand now? Let us do the tracing part. Okay, let us do the tracing part. What is this localhost? Everything we'll do. We will understand this in action. Can I focus here? Again, I'm going to take a new paintbrush. It's just a simple introduction web application. Tomorrow we will connect to database also. Okay, focus here. So this is my URL. Okay, this URL is being hit in the browser. This is the browser. Now by the URL, can you say that this is an HTTP URL? Yes or no? It's an HTTP request, right? So any browser you can choose. It can be Edge, or it can be Chrome, it can be any browser. Okay, for now, let us say that this is the Chrome browser. Okay, on the one hand you have this, on the other hand, okay, you have a simple code, very simple code. Okay, so you have the com.test. Inside the test package you have only two classes. One is the main class. Okay, so this one is the main class. So what happens when you start hitting the run button? Run as the Spring Boot application. You know everything. JVM will be activated. JVM gets activated. So JVM will create the main thread, and we know that main thread get access to the main method. This one, which is this one, right? And this line is going to return the. It is going to generate, or it is going to create the IOC container. IOC container. Okay. This IOC container is placed on top of what? On top of JVM. This is IOC container. So this IOC container is used to do what? To register the beans, the objects. IOC container, right? And since we have just added the web dependency, by default the Tomcat server will also be started. How it will be started? A non-daemon thread will be created. Why a non-daemon thread will be created? Because you have added the web dependency. Okay, this non-daemon thread will ensure that a server is getting activated. What is the server? I mean, the server is getting started. What is the name of the server? Tomcat server. Okay, Tomcat server, which is going to listen to a port. Okay, it is going to pick up a port number 8080 by default. If you want, you can change this, but by default it is going to pick only the port number 8080. Okay, the Tomcat server is going to listen to this port. Okay, this is the Tomcat server. Okay, and JVM is not yet shut down. JVM is running, as well as Tomcat server is also running, which is listening to port number 8080. Okay, so after this, so let me copy and paste the another controller as well, this another class as well. So this is a very special class. Okay, if any class that gets annotated with REST controller, focus here. If any class that gets annotated with REST controller, it means this class is built enough, capable enough to listen to the HTTP request. This class is capable enough to listen to the HTTP request. How the control flow is, the end user has given the URL localhost. Okay, what is this localhost? Question. What is this localhost? Means we are developing. I am developing this application in my laptop, right? Okay, so there will not be any. I mean, the browser will not communicate to the internet to resolve this domain name. Browser will never communicate to the DNS servers. Browser knows, okay, the developer has used localhost, which means it will pick up the default ID of my IP address of my laptop. Able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Default IP address of my laptop will be picked. Either you can use localhost. Localhost means your OS will understand that, okay, this developer is trying to connect to its own laptop, connect to its own. I mean, he's going to use his own server, own laptop as a server. Okay, by the see, this is going to be same for your laptop also. Okay, this is the for Windows. For Windows, it is the what we call it as the IP address. It's not an IP address. The default IP address. Default IP address is 127.0.0.1. You can use this also if you want. Instead of localhost, you can use this also. IP address followed by the port number followed by the URL. Or if you want to, if you have connected with the Wi-Fi, if you have connected the Wi-Fi, just go to the command prompt. Okay, and see. If you are using Windows, you can do this. For Apple, I mean for MacBook, the command is very different. I think you can get that in the Google. Okay. Just type ipconfig you will get the IP address. Okay, IP address 4, IP version 4 address. Okay, this is the IP address of my laptop. Okay, you can use this also. You might be wondering what is this IP address and what is it. If I have connected to the Wi-Fi internet, I get the private IP address. Okay, my router will give me the private IP address because I have connected to the internet. If I am not connected to the internet, so this is the default IP address. Instead of local, you can replace this localhost with either this one or this one, or this one. Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is what our browser you are trying to do. What you are trying to create an HTTP request. Okay, what the OS is going to do? OS cleverly, it will pick a port number inside your operating system. What is that port number? Any random port number. You call it as, technically you call it as ephemeral port number. Ephemeral port number. Okay, it could be any number. There is a range for that. Okay, always it is going to be a very big range. There is a range for minimum range is something around, I think, 4,000 or 4,500, 265,000. I'm picking the, it is going to pick any port number. Okay, so port number has been picked. Okay, sir, this is going to be very interesting as well as tricky also. Port number is picked. This is a ephemeral port number. Okay, after this, what it is going to do? Okay, so here the IP address, the localhost, or the the default IP address, or the dynamic IP address, the IP address that is provided by your internet service provider. Okay, do you see here 8080? It means it knows, your operating system knows, okay, the developer wants to connect to this port number inside this particular IP address. IP address is our system only. Inside the system, connect to this port number, which means a connection gets established between your port and the, the, what we call it as, the port number 8080 and the random port number that is picked up by the operating system. So what is this connection? TCP connection, no?
Three-way handshaking.
Three-way handshake, TCP connection. Okay. Now, every connection has been set up. Now see, it is very specific. Means you have added an endpoint. What is your endpoint? /welcome. Yes or no? Now you are being very specific. Till here it is completely generic, common. Here it is very common. After this, you have added a keyword, or what we call it as an endpoint, /welcome. It is very specific. So what happens? Okay, the request will be traveling from this port number. HTTP request will be traveling from this port number. It is going to search for this endpoint. So first it will reach the server. What is the server? Tomcat server. Okay, because Tomcat is listening to 8080, right? So the request will be reaching to the Tomcat server. Right? So again, the Tomcat server will not directly communicate to your Spring Boot application directly. What Tomcat server has? Tomcat server has 3 different layers. Internally, 3 layers are abstracted. This is layer 1, this is a layer 2, this is a layer 3. It has to bypass these 3 layers to get connected to the respective handler method. Okay, what is the layer number 1? Layer number 1 is the dispatcher servlet. So it is abstracted, you do not have to worry about this. Dispatcher servlet. Okay, second layer is handler mapping. Okay, handler mapping. Okay, third layer is you have something like handler adapter. Okay. Okay. So Tomcat server has to bypass these 3 layers. This is abstracted. You do not have to remember about this. Generally, these things are there. Dispatcher servlet is used to do what? It will try to find the class that is annotated with the rest at the rest controller. The job of the receiver servlet is used to find the class that is annotated with at the rest controller. What is the purpose of handler mapping? You will try to find the method that is annotated with the endpoint. So you are using it as get mapping means. I will tell you about this. Okay, these are the HTTP verbs. Get means you are just getting the request. You are just hitting the get request. HTTP get request. There are some other requests like post request is there, put request is there, patch request is there, delete request is there. Simply we are using the get call. It's a get call. Okay, this handler mapping will try to identify, is there any method that has the endpoint /welcome? Why /welcome? That is what we are given in the browser, right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Then what happens is handler adapter will try to do what? It will not do anything. It will just call that method. That's it. Okay, these three layers are just abstracted. Okay, the request goes from the browser to Tomcat server. I mean, the ephemeral port to 8080 port number. Okay, and Tomcat server is listening to this port number. Okay, and it has to bypass dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher is what? It will identify the class that is annotated with other REST controller. Okay, handler mapping. You can have any. You may be having at least thousands of methods. Okay, it has to pick the right method. How the right handler mapping will be done because of the endpoint /welcome. Okay, and what is the next one? Handler adapter. It will just call that method. Okay, HTTP request call is done. What is the response? What response it is giving? My first web application, right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
My first web application. So this response will be transferred. First web application. This will be transferred as a response because your what do we call it as? The response type is string. Okay, this will be transferred as the response. Okay, but before transferring this, okay, there is another thing called as what? HTTP message converter. HTTP message converter. Okay, what this is going to do is this HTTP message converter has to do two things. One is at the time of receiving HTTP request, okay, it is like this is simply a get call, but at the time of returning, you are returning a string. This string has to get converted to the equivalent browser type value, equivalent Chrome type value. The equivalent Chrome type value is what? The JSON. Format is JSON. Okay, because string is the Java object, it has to get converted to the JSON object. Java objects are understood by Java language. JSON objects are understood by any browser or any third-party languages. Common data, data object. I mean, key value pair objects. Common key value pairs. JSON objects. So our Java is returning the string. It will be converted to the JSON object so that the browser will understand. For that, HTTP message converters will be used. Even this is also abstracted inside. Okay, and abstracted, and this will be then back to the same flow, and now the browser will display this in the JSON form. These many things are happening. After doing this will be disconnected. Again, if you hit it one more time, okay, let me hit it one more time. My first time, let me hit it one more time. Again, TCP connection, everything will be same. Are you able to follow? Very simple about the Tomcat server. I have just introduced about the Tomcat server. Nothing else.
Sir, two doubts, sir.
Ask me.
The method should always be string.
No. For example, I have given the return type of string. It can be anything. It can be list. It can be integer. It can be anything. See, let us take something like integer to clear our doubt. 100. Okay, so I have to restart the server because now the server is running with the uh, wrong compiled files. This has to get compiled, right? So I need to restart this. Stop this and restart this. Okay, it is started. Okay, what is the proof that it is started? You will see some message here. Tomcat server started on port number 8080. Understood? I mean Tomcat server is running. Okay, so just hit this. Are you able to see 100 here? Hello.
Yes, sir.
You can return anything. You can return list also. That is the topic of discussion. So now the thing is you have to understand the control flow, how the data transfer is happening. Okay. Now let me give you one more idea. Instead of welcome, okay, I am trying to do what? I am trying to do something here. See, I'm just stopping the server. Okay, I'm just stopping the server forcefully. You tell me, if I stop the server forcefully, definitely a Tomcat server will be destroyed. I mean, it gets destroyed, right? Yes or no? Because it is running on non-daemon thread. Hello?
Yes, sir.
And again, if the Tomcat server is not, I mean, it is destroyed, or if the non-daemon thread is destroyed forcefully, JVM will also get destroyed, right? Okay, and if
Yes,
these
sir.
two things are getting destroyed, port number 8080 will also be destroyed, right? Now tell me, all these things are destroyed, but you're trying to communicate. You're trying to communicate with this URL. Now what will happen? If I just hit this once again, okay? Just hit this endpoint once again. See, you're getting this site cannot be reached. Why this site cannot be reached? There are two things you have to understand. Okay, your physical server is active here. Your physical, what is the physical I'm referring to here? My system, which means it is able to identify the local host because it is up and running now. My system is running, right? Yes or no?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
But the logical server is not running. Logical server is not there. It's deactivated. Okay, you're able to reach the physical server, but not the logical entity, logical port number. I mean, the logical server means a Tomcat server that is running inside the JVM, which is an application that is not running, but the physical server is identified. Yeah, because of that, you get this error. This site cannot be reached. Local host refused to connect. You'll get this message. Now, one more example. Let us say that your physical server is up and running, and also your logical server is also up and running. Oh, let me rerun this once again. It's running. Okay, but instead of slash welcome, if I give slash welcome, I will get the right answer 100. Instead of slash welcome, I am giving some other endpoint. Okay, slash data. You will get white label error. Why white label error? The same thing will happen behind the scenes, but this time you expect a response with the written status code 404. Have you seen this 404 anywhere?
Yes, sir. Seen.
Yeah, why this?
Banking servers.
Yeah, why these
Right.
things are coming up? Now you got the reason, right? Because physical server is also running, the logical server is also running, but the problem is the data that you are trying to fetch is not available. Means the slash data. Is there any configuration for the slash data in our REST controller? Do we have any configuration? We
No.
have slash welcome is there. Slash data is not there. Means it has to return. It has to say some in a way that the people can understand. Computer will, I mean, the system will communicate that to you in a way. What is that way? The error codes. HTTP. These are called as what? HTTP response code or HTTP codes. What is the HTTP code that we are discussing about? 404. Not found. Which means, okay, you're looking for a resource. That resource is not available. Making sense,
Yes, sir.
right? So we have introduced, I mean, we have got to introduce about the 404 status code 404. Likewise, you have the successful error code, like 200 is for successful, 300, I mean 300, I mean, let me say 2xx, 3xx, 4xx, 5xx. So these 200 codes are successful codes, 300 are for redirectional, 400 are for they are the client side exception, because client is making a mistake. 500 are the server side exception. So this is common for all the web applications. You will understand.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let us do a meaningful program, a small meaningful program. Okay, now instead of doing all this, let me create another class. Okay, new visit class student. Okay, I'm going to create a simple photo, string name, okay, and integer age. The third one is string location. I'm taking three variables, and now what I'm going to do is I'm adding I'm generating constructor source, generate constructors using fields. Okay, source, generate getters and setters, selector. Okay, source, generate toString method. Okay, very simple. In the controller, I'm making some changes. Okay, instead of welcome, I'm saying get students. So I am going to configure the student object here. So I'm returning the student list of student. Whenever the whenever you call this endpoint, it has to return the list of students. Okay, let us add student s1 equal to new student. Okay, Balaji 21 SA Chennai. Let me add three students. Okay, one S2 S3. Okay, list of let me do like this. Private list of student students equal to new array list. Let us say that by default I have three students. One is Balaji, second one is Sudhir, and third one is Dinesh. Yes, let us make the changes to ages 23 and 5. Hyderabad, Pune. So I am just using this variable to add the students to the instance variable. I am using this instance variable to add all the students. Return students. Okay. Same thing. I'm not doing any changes here. The big changes here. The same thing. Okay. Let me rerun this. Stop. Let me rerun the server. Run as, you should always run it as the Spring Boot app. Run as. Run as Spring Boot application. Okay. So it is started. It is started on the port number 8080. So this is the proof 8080. Okay. Now the endpoint is get. So you're able to see the students in the form of, it is representing what? It is representing the JSON. Okay. Internally, you are storing the Java objects here. In the controller, you have created 3 Java objects, and these 3 Java objects are stored inside a list. And you're returning the list here. You're returning the list here. Return type is list here. Students is of what type? Students is of list type. Okay. The HTTP converter will convert this Java object to the JSON object. This is the Java representation, but if you want to see this in the browser, okay, the values are the JSON representation. Example, why I'm telling all you this, we are talking about the REST APIs, representational state transfer. What does it really mean? Okay, so let us say that this is our Spring Boot application, Spring Boot web application. Let us say that in the front end, this is Java application, front end. Okay, the front end is the JavaScript. Okay. If this front end and if this back end want to communicate, okay, they can communicate through what? The request and response will be in the form of, they can use REST APIs. Means now we have the URL, right? We have the URL, which is HTTP. This is the URL for us. URL. Okay, if the JavaScript wants to communicate to a backend application, it will write a script in such a way that it will use this URL. It will send a request, okay, and after getting the response, it will capture this response in such a way that, okay, after capturing the response is what? Response is something like this. They collect this data and they know how to display this beautifully in the console. Are you able to understand? They are just backend developers. The idea is they not only JavaScript, okay, it can be any other programming language. It can be Python also. Okay, let us say that Python, they are using a framework Django. We have Spring Boot, Python, for Python it's Django or Flask. Okay, what they do, they want to communicate to our system, request and the response, right? Okay, they use the same URL. They use this get, they call this URL. Okay, and for the request they get a response. The response will be some data, right? Let us say that it is highly, it can be a sensitive data also, a very meaningful information also. They use this data, they manipulate this data, and they can give this data to their front ends. Okay, let us say the Python is communicating to a front end, like communicating to a browser or any JavaScript others. They can give this data to the front end. Okay, they can display this data in their own way. These communications can happen because of these REST APIs, representational state transfer. If you have time, I can do research on this REST APIs. This can happen only because of the client server. So this is what this thing is called as what? The distributed system. One system can communicate to another system through a RESTful web services. Okay, it has to have a endpoint, an URL it has to have, right? And it knows what data it will be received. It can do some manipulations on the data that is going to receive. Now the front end and back ends are separated. Okay, JavaScript. This is how they call the the JavaScript, the front end. This is how they call the back end, which is Spring Boot, and they get the data, and they collect the data, and they know how to display this information beautifully in the console. Able to understand? We are just the back end developers.
Yes. Sir, does each API has each work?
Yeah. Now.
ఒక్కొక్క API కి ఒక్కొక్క వర్క్ ఉంటుందా?
అవును. Depends. It depends upon how you are developing it. See, this is just a get API. This is simply get mapping. Okay, what if the front end wants to store the data? Example,
Not about get method, sir. I'm asking about REST API, something post will
yeah, post you
that
can,
will
yeah, for every see, the output is going to be JSON only, guys. You communicate with JSON. Okay, Java objects are converted to JSON. JSON are converted to Java. This is for Java application. With respect to Java application, you consume the JSON and you convert it to Java object, and you do manipulation and you give the Java object that will be converted to JSON object. So these conversions that I am talking about, Java to JSON, Java to JSON, and JSON to Java, is being done by what? It is being done by the Jackson library. This is also part of Spring Web Dependency. You remember in the beginning I have said about the Jackson library. You remember Jackson library?
yes, sir.
This Jackson library will take care of this conversion. You do not have to worry about this. These things are abstracted by the Spring Boot framework. This is it is making developers are feeling very good with the framework, because framework is making easy to develop programs. Understanding?
Yes,
That's
sir.
it. Okay. So this is simply a get call. Okay, this is simply a get call. So tomorrow our discussions will be like. So today I did not take much. Okay, but internally I have helped you to understand about the control flow. That is the main thing that you have to take away today. Understanding about the control flow. That is the main thing. Okay. Now you have understood about REST controller. Now you know what is REST controller, right? Okay. If any class is getting annotated with REST controller, any class getting annotated with REST controller, that will also be registered as a bean in IOC container. Let us say that you are marking the class A as the REST controller. So this class A, an object will be created in the IOC container that will also be registered as a bean. But this time, this is more special bean. This bean is what? This bean is a REST controller bean, which means it listens to the HTTP request and response. Let me understand. @ component also doing the same job. Okay, @ REST controller doing the same job, but this REST controller beans are more special beans because they are capable to listen to the HTTP request and they are capable to send the HTTP response. But the objects are created. Okay, the beans are created inside the IOC container. That is the point that I would highlight here. You will follow?
So whatever the API is, at last objects only.
Yeah, objects only, correct. Okay, there are many annotations, but these are the main. These are called as the stereotype annotations. So we have annotations like @ component is there, @ REST controller. We have annotations like @ service is there, @ repository. These four annotations are called as the basic stereotype annotations. Okay, these four annotations are going to do the same job, which means they register their beans in the IOC container. But each one has a different specialty. Component means only beans, nothing else. Okay, REST controller means what? REST controller means they are also called as beans, but they listen to HTTP request and response. Service means we are going to see that tomorrow. Repository, we are going to see that tomorrow. Making sense?
Yes, sir. Very clear.
Clear now? Are you finding it? Now you have understood, right? Why did I take the first class about the architectures, client server architecture class? Now you are able to link that in the today's class, right?
Yes.
Yeah, this is how the web application works. This is normally for Java, for any application, for Python, for JavaScript, everything is going to say. Now everything is separated. You can develop any number of applications. One application is running on Java, second one is Python, third one is JavaScript, fourth one is Golang, fifth one is Scala. Whatever the application is, the common communication between these two applications nowadays are what? The RESTful web services, REST APIs. They deal with the common JSON data. Only they consume the data in the form of JSON, or they give the data in the form of JSON. The language will take care of consuming that object. If the Python, they consume in the form of objects, Java objects, right? It's up to the languages. So this communication will play a major role in the distributed application. Okay, just try to do some practice on this code. Tomorrow we will develop the full-fledged application. Okay, I will also introduce the database also. Now from tomorrow everything will make more sense. Tomorrow we will talk to the database. We will connect to the Oracle database and we will do the CRUD operations. Okay.